What's up, my friends in the film fandom, wherever you may be and however you may be watching? Thank you so much for giving us just a little bit of your time and joining us just in time for me to click go live. is my man Jay. We'll get to him in just a second. Yes, a little bit of a break we took to start the year. The last 4 months is a pretty punishing schedule, but it paid off really, really well. We had some good growth. Managed to get up to that 500 subscriber mark thanks to all of you guys, and do some charity work for the Abandoned Pet Project. Here's to the next 500. But we need to take a break, man. It was a back-breaking pace that we had set for the last several months, and we all needed to kind of recharge. But we're back now, ready to go into 2024 and all the cool movies to talk about in this year. Joining me, of course, as always, is the Dowager Countess, Lady Cora. How are you tonight, ma'am?
I'm good. I'm glad Tex isn't here, so he won't laugh at me and tease me about this. So I spent the last hour watching. Now, I have a big screen TV in my living room, and I put live streams on. And this is a squirrel moment, but it's very funny. So basically, I had this live stream of this beach in Hawaii. It is beautiful. But then it's like all of a sudden, about an hour ago, I noticed something fuzzy across the waves that is right by the camera and on the other beach. And I swear it was like an alien or a ghost or something. It was this crazy like thing, and I was rewinding it and looking at it. Then all of a sudden it fucking hit me. Do you know what that is, Cora? That's probably a fucking tarp or a parasail that's tied to a tree and blowing in the fucking wind. I spent an hour thinking I was looking at an alien. It was a thing. So yeah. Yeah, that's me.
And that's Lady Cora starts of the year. And then, of course, as always, my hetero life mate and my chief regulator, my man Jeremy. What's up, brother?
Buenos noches, shitheads. I can't say buenos dias. It's not the morning, so I got you.
Casey's saying there's no audio in the chat.
Casey doesn't know what we're saying anyway. Yes, I'm getting audio on my end. So, Casey, try turning your TV up, fool. You're what's probably happening is your shit's not plugged in all the way. Yeah, unmute yourself, Casey. Unmute yourself. I just heard myself on my iPad, so I think we're doing just fine. Anyway, back at it. Let's talk about the movie that we're here to talk about. Obviously, I'm way off now. Let's see. We are here to talk about Young Guns, the 1988 American Western action film directed by Christopher Cain and written by John Fusco. It's the first film to be produced by Morgan Creek Productions. They had a good run in the 90s into the 2000s. It stars an all-star cast featuring Emilio Estevez, Kiefer Sutherland, Lou Diamond Phillips, Charlie Sheen, Dermot Mulroney, Casey Siemaszko, Terence Stamp, Terry O'Quinn, Brian Keith, and the great Jack Palance. The film is a retelling of the adventures of Billy the Kid during the Lincoln County War, which took place in New Mexico in 1877 and 78. It was filmed in and around New Mexico, and historian Paul Hutton has called Young Guns one of the most historically accurate of all Billy the Kid films as of its release. It opened at #1 at the box office and eventually grossed $56 million against an $11 million budget. A sequel, Young Guns 2, was released in August of 1990. The film received mixed reviews from critics. It holds a 43% rating on Rotten Tomatoes based on 40 reviews, with an average rating of 4.7 out of 10, with a consensus review that reads, quote, Young Guns rounds up a posse of attractive young leads, but this cheerfully shallow brat pack Western ultimately has too much hat and not enough cattle. I don't know. I do love the wording of some of these consensus reviews, though, because I don't know if somebody actually wrote them or if they used AI or if they just kind of like had some intern throw them together. Some are worded quite good, though. But I don't know. I'll go to you first, Lady Cora. You've seen the movie recently, I hope. Give me some quick thoughts on this before we dive into the spoilers.
Well, I made some notes here. It's like a Hallmark TV movie Western version of A Knight's Tale that uses modern music and a period piece. It's okay.
I think it's better than that, but I mean, anyway, we'll bring it down. I don't know, Jay, what do you think? Give me some of your quick thoughts on Young Guns.
Of course, Frank thought it was awesome. It has an 8 in the title of the year it came out. In fact, it has 2, so it's even better. So of course he likes it. But no, honestly, no. I thought it was a fun movie. I for some reason thought we were doing what was it, the Quick and the Dead or something. I don't know why I thought that. And I'm like, no, that's not the same movie. And then I realized, like, oh yeah, I have not seen this because I thought it was that movie, and I'm like, no, I've seen that. Okay, but no, I actually had not seen this, and this was actually kind of it was just a fun, kind of turn your brain off, just kind of enjoy the fucking fun of it. I mean, you can tell Emilio Estevez is having like the fucking time of his life doing this movie. So, and why wouldn't you? It does kind of have all the it guys of like the 80s. So of course it does. I'm not mad about an all-star cast. So it's not too distracting. The only thing that was distracting, which I think is what Cora mentioned, was like, why is the opening like the most 80s-esque fucking music I've ever heard in my fucking life set to this backdrop of like the 1800s? I'm like, this is weird. Okay.
Why is Queen in A Knight's Tale?
I was literally about to say like Queen with A Knight's Tale, right? Like, I get the joke that like, no matter what century it's in, the 70s never change. I'm like, but that doesn't mean 1572 you're gonna be listening to fucking We Are the Champions. Like, what? I don't know. That's where I was. Yeah, I was thinking.
Or slang terms being used that are modern today.
I don't know. I understand. Some of you fetuses don't actually understand Paul Bettany. That's where I first met that man. It's Geoffrey Chaucer. God damn it. But,
as the minstrel, the great minstrel, he was awesome in that movie.
Exactly.
And what do you think, Frank? What's your overall love-hate?
For this movie, it's a good, solid Western. It's one of the last decent Westerns that came out. I like the fact that it was historically accurate. Not like Tombstone, which we're going to talk about here soon. But I mean, that's one of the knocks on Tombstone is that it's a great action movie, but not a very good Western. I get it. This movie is a better Western than Tombstone. It's solid. It was just well done all around. This is kind of what I wanted Tombstone to be. I wanted it to be a bit more of a character study. Now, this movie wasn't the kind of character study that I wanted it to be, not at all. But it was a little too actiony at times. But the fact that so many historians are coming out and they're like, you kind of grasp who Billy the Kid was. Because remember, for everything that we think we know about Billy the Kid, there's actually very little that is out there that is confirmed. I mean, for millions of bits of information, only one or two of those things can actually be confirmed by any documentation or anything. There's so much about him that is unknown. Even when he died is something that is largely up for debate. But yeah, I think it's a fun movie. Again, you got a cast of young and at the time relatively young actors who were kind of all hitting their stride. I mean, Emilio Estevez obviously already had the Brat Pack stuff behind him and all that. Kiefer Sutherland well on his way at that point. At that point, he had done like Lost Boys and some other things, Stand By Me, things like that. Lou Diamond Phillips had just done La Bamba a year before, which is one of the great music biopics in my opinion. Charlie Sheen, who at that point had already been doing very well. Dermot Mulroney, Terence Stamp, who was already a star. Terry O'Quinn, already a star. Jack Palance, who at that point was already an absolute legend. It's loaded with talent. It was a great story. Westerns, I think, are just inherently fun to watch. Let's break it. Let's start with the cast. Honestly, I mean, how do you look at these faces and you're like, holy shit, how did this movie not win an Oscar with this much talent? But at the time, they were relatively young and untested. I mean, a lot of these guys hadn't achieved the heights of their career quite yet. I think probably the biggest star in this movie at the time was probably Emilio Estevez. I think even Charlie Sheen was kind of on his way up.
Kiefer Sutherland too, wasn't he?
True.
He was still relatively. He was only 23 or something when this movie filmed, or something like that. So I mean, even he wasn't quite. It wasn't like before 24, before all this other stuff.
Well, yeah.
But I don't know. I'll go to you first, Jeremy. Again, a loaded cast. Who stood out to you amongst this great, gathering of young stars?
It's always just an easy cop out and be like, yeah, it was Emilio Estevez. Because again, you can tell this dude was just having the most fun ever doing this shit, and it was exciting to just watch him just be absolutely fucking chaotic this entire movie. It was pretty insane. Like to what you said, I was trying to think, like, I don't know what some of these guys had really done. I mean, this is what, 88, so Charlie Sheen's already done like Red Dawn, and actually that's the year that was what, 84, like
84, 85, something like that.
I think it was 84, because then I'm like, well, Estevez did Breakfast Club, which was 85, so it's not too long after some of these big movies that the two of them had done. I mean, I guess if I can kind of cheat and say the dynamic between Charlie and Emilio, which was kind of fun to just watch because I'm like, yeah, they're just poking fun at each other the whole fucking.
We know they're brothers.
I know. I'm like, see how I like turned to her real quick. I'm like, you know what's great? This dynamic works because they're brothers and they're just probably actually just like annoying the shit out of each other at every turn. So it kind of works for their dynamic while until Charlie Sheen was no longer winning and he kind of got his ass kicked, but it's okay. Tiger blood, man. Tiger blood. No, Tiger blood.
Not his DNA, man.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I know. The two of them, I just enjoyed watching back and forth.
Did you ever hear the Mike Tyson quote song? Have I played that for you, Jeremy?
Maybe.
I'll text you the video on YouTube. But the same guy that did that song did a song based on a bunch of crazy shit that Charlie Sheen said, mostly from that one interview where he was talking about Tiger's blood and Adonis.
Oh, maybe I have. Well, because like Mike Tyson's done so much weird shit. Like someone at work just decided we stopped for like 10 minutes to watch one of the Mike Tyson Mysteries episodes where we were definitely still doing work. But I was like, what in the Scooby-Doo shit? You know what? It's Mike Tyson. Whatever. I don't care. He just does what he does.
I don't know. Cora, what do you think of the cast? Was there somebody that jumped out at you in this great gathering of young actors?
I'm a huge Dermot Mulroney fan for reasons that have nothing to do with his acting. And
oh, I'm sure.
he was kind of different. You know, I like the cast. One of the few things I really like about this movie is the cast, the set design, and the costuming. And I'm not going to complain about the casting at all. Historically speaking, the real life John Tunstall was only 24 years old, wasn't much older than these boys. So, you know, they did kind of change that in the, you know, there was no father figure. There was no, you know, like family dynamic. They were just a bunch of kids running around. But I did like Terence Stamp. I've seen him in other things and adored him. And who can't love Jack Palance? You know, he's fantastic. So it was a good mix.
Speaking of a bunch of kids running around, it popped into my head. Like, when was The Outsiders? That was 83. So yeah, that even already happened. And kind of, you got some of the same. You got was it Tom Cruise? Yeah, Emilio, Tom Cruise. I think Charlie was in there too, wasn't he?
In The Outsiders?
Outsiders, yeah.
I've never seen it.
Emilio Estevez was Tom Cruise,
Rob Lowe,
Ralph Macchio,
C. Thomas Howell, Matt Dillon, Patrick Swayze. Like, again, all the fucking everybody. I could have swore Charlie was in this fucking movie. Maybe he wasn't. Maybe I'm thinking of Tom Cruise. Yeah. But yeah, that had already happened too. So that's, you know, another standout. I would recommend it, Corey. It's a fun movie.
Yeah,
The Outsiders
before.
Yeah. Oh, The Outsiders is one of the great films of all time.
List.
It's a very good movie.
Yeah, The Outsiders is on a lot of people's like top 10 ever list. I mean,
like, if you didn't, if just the people I just railed off, we just both railed off right there wasn't enough reason. I mean, yeah, it's worth seeing.
Cool.
If you like Dermot Mulroney for reasons that have nothing to do with his acting, you're going to love Patrick Swayze in that movie. Those tight jeans.
I'm not a Patrick Swayze fan. Believe it or not.
Don't let my mom hear you say that Patrick Swayze is her dude, man.
I'm more of a Patrick Stewart kind of girl, but nowadays. But I'm also older, so you know.
Yeah, you know, for me, first off, let me point out how great it was to have two of the absolute most badass actors in the world ever in this movie.
Yeah.
Now, a quick point of order to you, Jeremy. You probably know this already. Both these guys played villains in DC movies, DC comic book movies.
Oh.
Jack Palance played the bad guy in Batman 1989. He was Jack's boss, who he eventually killed and took over as he became the Joker. And Terence Stamp played Zod in the original Superman.
Yeah, I was like, I knew Zod. I was trying to where was Jack Palance? Like, oh yeah, he walks in there and shoots him.
It's all coming back. Yeah.
Well, my first thought was Terence Stamp is either Star Wars or Haunted Mansion with Eddie Murphy. So, but yeah, no, I remember now. Yeah,
but this cast, I mean, good God, it's just so loaded with great actors. I mean, the one that's always kind of of all these people, the one that jumps out at me is just the great portrayal of Billy the Kid by Emilio Estevez. I mean, because everything that I've kind of read about him is that he was exactly the way that he was portrayed, kind of a hothead,
really
a bit out of control, impulsive, not very thoughtful, aggressive, but at the same time, becomes the leader of this group of people. I mean, not exactly the way it's portrayed in this movie, but as far as I've read, becomes the leader of this group of people because of his outrageous flamboyance. You know what I mean? There was something about him that just kind of he just sucked all the air out of the room and took it all for himself. I loved his portrayal. Even funnier considering that I've got a piece of information about him in the trivia that we'll talk about, which makes his performance that much more interesting because he has so much energy. It's like when he's on camera. There were times, though, it was odd. I don't know if it was by design or if it was just kind of the way that it worked out from scene to scene. But there were times where he was kind of very low-key, almost depressed. The character's energy seemed to swing to extremes. There was one minute where he'd be sitting there very somber, and then almost with a drop of a hat, he would do like the scene at the bar when the guy says, "I'm here to shoot Billy the Kid," and he's like, "Oh, really? Well, can I hold the gun to shoot Billy the Kid?" And that's actually this scene right here. Actually, they're actually in the scene. They're watching him have the conversation with that guy.
I'm sorry, I'd be doing what Kiefer Sutherland's doing. I'm like, I'd be having my gun out, like, just okay. Well, if this goes sideways, we might have to shoot our way out of this thing. He looks so uncomfortable. Like, yeah,
it's like all of them are kind of like, fuck, really.
Yeah, even Chavez is like side eyeing. I'm like, do I gotta throw a knife in this fucker's neck? Like,
But yeah, I mean, obviously he kind of carries this movie, but I can't really knock any of it. I mean, even Charlie Sheen, I don't really know what he was going through in his life at the time, and we all know that he's struggled with various things over the course of his life. But he was like the straight-laced guy. He was the one that was on the up and up, which is, looking back on it now after the whole Tiger's Blood Adonis DNA interview thing, we kind of look back. It's odd to look at, but I mean, he was the one that was kind of in control the whole time. He was the de facto leader of it all until his character dies. But I mean, I can't. I don't know. It's really hard for me to pick out any one that really overshines the other. This movie was very well balanced as far as the actors and performances are concerned, with the exception of maybe Emilio Estevez kind of carrying the film. But I mean, that was probably the point. I think this was more of a Billy the Kid centered film anyway around his character. But
the storyline still kind of made sense, like with Kiefer Sutherland go back for the little Chinese girl. It's like it's still kind of there's still a stake in it, and it's like having a second to breathe because again, like you said, Emilio Estevez just takes the fucking like breath out of every scene. Then it's like, okay, oh crap, is he gonna get her out? Is he gonna get caught? Shit, But it was kind of a nice back and forth change of pace.
But let's talk about the plot now. Obviously, this kind of follows an actual historical track. It follows Billy the Kid, the goings on of the Lincoln County War in New Mexico in the late 1870s. The Old West is, I mean, for all the movies that have been made about the Old West, they've told probably the same story in some variation or another about 257 times each. Either this or the shootout at the OK Corral or some bank robbery or some character from that time period. I'll go to you first, Cora. What did you think of the plot of the film? We'll talk about the historical accuracy here in a minute, but I mean, what do you think of just the way the film was put together story-wise?
It seemed like a nice plot concept, but it just felt like it was kind of like half developed when it goes to the writing of the dialogue. Because if you like read a plot synopsis, it would seem, I don't know, but the way in general, I would say it's a nice plot, but I don't think that translates as well in the writing and the pacing as it could have. So
yeah, there was a bit of unevenness. I agree. I don't know, Jeremy, what do you think? Basic plot follows kind of the goings on of the Lincoln County War with these these kind of Rough Riders. What did you think of the plot of the film?
I mean, it got there. It kind of the pacing was a little weird. I mean, it kind of. Of course, I'm a little sad to see Terence Stamp have like maybe 10 minutes in this movie, then got shot like a total chump.
Did you notice when he got shot, he was being lifted in the air like he was a ghost?
That was
He fell. I was like, what the fuck was that?
I kind of watched, and then like it cut to like he just kind of fell off the wagon. I was like,
yes.
right, but why did you just like ascend for a second, sir? What was that? Even if you like kind of stood up and again had your platoon moment and kind of got shot in the back, I'm like, you wouldn't just like you just like T-posed and went up and then just fell and ragdolled. I'm like, what the hell was that?
Like a Jesus moment or something. I was like,
I mean, I guess he kind of was like their savior, I guess, but I'm like, you're a little heavy-handed if that's what you were going for.
Overacting was still a thing in the 80s, though.
Yeah,
but
and how did they not hear them coming up on them?
Yeah, I don't know. But I mean, overacting, you say that, but also, I mean, Emilio made that shit work in this movie, though. It kind of fit the character. It fit the character, though. Because he just made like everyone else really fucking uncomfortable. They're trying to be like somewhat reasonable, but he's just like, yeah, fuck it, we going back. Yeah, it kind of got there, but it's, I don't know. I mean, I guess like what dude said at one point in the movie, he's like, dude, I think we just made 2 big circles. Like, are we going back? Like, what's like, I don't know. It just seemed like one thing to the next. The first part of it kind of, like I said, it set it up and got to where he's kind of leading this band of like these misfit guys. And then we had to have them zonked out on fucking peyote for way too long.
That was painful to watch.
That was a little fucking
forward through a little bit of that. I'm like,
it was funny, and then I'm like,
boy.
okay, I get it. Get there. I don't need to. I didn't see the chicken. I don't need to know how goddamn big it was. Like, dude, come on. Jesus,
and realistically, one of them would have shot themselves. The way they were acting.
That's
how
the
did
thing.
They not kill themselves.
That's the thing that I kind of thought. That's the only thing that kind of kept me on the edge of my seat. I was like, oh, one of them was gonna fucking end up killing themselves or each other. Like, shit, please don't. You're trying to have your visions and whatever, but man, you're gonna see the wrong chicken as your buddy. I'm sorry, your pal. And I'm gonna jump to Lord of the Rings, and it's like, well, meat's back on the menu. So, I mean, the only thing I thought that was hysterical was like Emilio Estevez was, yeah, like when he went to flip his gun and he just like it fell out of his hand, and he was just kind of like 3 seconds behind. He was just like. Like, where the hell did it go? That was kind of funny to watch. And for some reason, he put the shit in his hat. I'm like, it was kind of funny, but it went on a little too long. But I don't know. And once I got to the end and they're stuck in the house for like, I don't know, like a day or so, that was kind of fun. But I don't know, pretty straightforward. I always kind of thought Billy the Kid was like I think it's like no one really knows kind of where he just came from or when he was born exactly. And like I said, even him in his death, it's kind of just like, yeah, he died at some point somewhere. I don't know. I do appreciate that they recreated that, like that famous picture of him standing there with that little goofy half smile he has, like with his rifle next to him. I'm like, okay, that's cool.
And that thing
that's
about
the only
pals
confirmed
on his
picture of him
was real. They actually did that to his
Right,
second tombstone after the first one was flooded. But they actually that I was like, I hope that's not just movie magic, and so I looked it up.
And like Frank said, I'm like, yeah, wasn't that like the only picture of him that had ever been taken?
The picture of him holding the rifle, that famous picture, that's the only confirmed picture of him. There are a couple of others that float around that you can find, but none of them are confirmed to be him. There's another one of him playing croquet that a lot of people believe is true. That was him at a friend's wedding or something like that. And he was dressed because they think it was at a wedding because he was dressed kind of nice for the occasion. They think that's probably a real picture of him, but they can't confirm it. But the only confirmed picture of him is the one of him holding that long rifle.
And I wonder if like they knew, like, like that guy walked in that bar. He's like, I want to kill Billy the Kid. And he's just like, really? Let me holler at you for a sec. You know what I mean? And this guy has no fucking clue until it's too late. So even like that scene in I've been in like a mobster mood lately too. So kind of in the same vein of like Outlaws, like that scene in Public Enemies with Johnny Depp. I'm like, he's sitting in the middle of they could hang out in public with people around him, and there's news coverage, but it's not like the guy next to you was the guy they've been looking for this whole time. You know what I mean? So I don't know if whoever took that picture like really knew, or it's just like, hey, I'm just gonna take this guy's picture, or whatever. Because photography obviously wasn't like probably well, it was a huge deal because it wasn't mainstream, but
Well, it was so new. It was like the craziest technology.
But yeah, that's what I mean. They're like, oh my God, you can take a picture? What the fuck? It's so funny. Look, if anyone wants a fun Google search, look up like the first actual photograph. And I'm like, yeah, it's just this grainy ass picture of like outside this guy's house, like of a building or some shit. I'm like, wow, that's okay.
And that was some crazy shit. That was
wild, right? So,
yeah, I look, as far as the plot goes. I mean, look, like I said, it's the Western. The stories surrounding the Lincoln County War have been told 6 ways from Sunday in a million different ways. It's whatever, but a lot of it's in the presentation with these Westerns. One of the things I found out about the Old West in that time period that we refer to as the Old West was only really about 20 or 30 years long. I didn't realize that until recently. I was watching a Simon Whistler video on YouTube, and the whole point of the video was, our misconceptions about how long time periods were. And he was saying that like everything that happened, like the shootout at the OK Corral, the Lincoln County War, all this stuff happened over the course of a span of like 30 years, from the end of the Civil War to the industrial boom.
I was going to say, wasn't it like
from the East Coast moving to the West? So the Wild West was only really wild for like 30 years, which is a relatively short time period.
I was like, it's just right after the Civil War, probably like maybe the turn of the century. It kind of died out by that point. Yeah, like it's not really that long.
And to think there's been about 5 million Westerns made from everything about John Chisholm, who is attached to actually this movie as well, just that he wasn't in the movie, to Billy the Kid, to Wyatt Earp, to all these different people that we've from the era, Doc Holliday, things like that. Sure. I mean, but they've made so many movies about him. You'd think that time period is like 100 years long. It was really like 30 years.
Well, the OK Corral shootout only happened for like fucking 5 seconds.
Yeah.
It wasn't really
about 15 minutes in the movie.
It wasn't really that big of a deal.
Yeah, right.
I don't know why.
They just decided to start telling stories about that one and not the other 27 that probably happened in the streets of Tombstone that day.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the plot is, I mean, it's like I said, it's not the first movie to be made about Billy the Kid. It certainly wasn't the last. It's all in the presentation. To me, great cast, interesting story. I like the fact that it was historically accurate, though. That to me was the important part, because there's a certain amount of liberty that has to be taken in any movie, even if it's a movie based on a true story. Because if you just told the story as it is, maybe it's lacking a little bit of panache, a little bit of flash. You have to give it enough flash to attract eyeballs to it. So you have to kind of alter the presentation a bit. But I mean, I like the way that it was all presented in this movie. I like the manic nature of Billy the Kid's character in this movie. I like the dichotomy, the different personalities that exist inside this group of regulators. Because you have Charlie Sheen's character, who is the one who's kind of all put together. You have Kiefer Sutherland, who's kind of all put together, but maybe not quite as much. He's a bit more of an emotional, romantic guy. Lou Diamond Phillips, the brooding guy over here in the corner, who's seen some stuff and some things, and he wouldn't recommend it. You got Dermot Mulroney and Siemaszko, who are kind of the younger, crazier guys that are kind of on their way to being a little bit more organized like the older guys are, but not quite there yet. Terence Stamp is just great. Terry O'Quinn, who was already pretty good at the time. Jack Palance, already a legend. So it was an interesting collection of all these great performances telling an interesting story. Because there's something it's like mob movies. There's something inherently interesting about the mob that even people who aren't into mob movies, if they see it, they might catch an episode of The Sopranos or something like that and say, really? And then they get really interested in what's going on. It's the same thing with Westerns. It's a part of our history, and it's a part of the history that we don't really know a lot about it, other than the fact of what we've seen in movies, and we don't really know how much of that is true. And they didn't exactly keep great records back then. So whenever you can put something that's as historically accurate as possible out there in film form, I think that's usually what makes a great Western. Especially if you're telling the story about a true to life person like Billy the Kid and all these other people that were there. But let's talk for a minute about the history versus the Hollywood. Again, they very, very accurate with a few obvious exceptions. Jeremy, I don't know how much you know about the Lincoln County War, what was going on in the Old West at this time, but I mean, did you think this was at least a proper representation of at least some of these things that they depicted in the movie?
I guess of all things, considered, that's again, because like I said, Well, I guess, as much as I was going to sit here and keep digging on the OK Corral that it lasted for about 2 seconds, I'm like, well, to be fair, in that long ass movie of Tombstone, it didn't really, I mean, it kind of came and went too in the movie. So, that was kind of accurate. Yeah, with some, I mean, again, because when you're trying to tell, real life, and then you're trying to tell it through a medium like film or something, you kind of have to take some liberties. But if it's even just minor stuff like we said about Tunstall, it's like, yeah, whatever, who cares? Sure, it's Jack Palance. I don't care because it's Jack Palance. So I can accept it for the fact that, yeah, it's at least trying to tell the story, more accurately than a lot of people would, because you'd be doing some. And this is the late 80s. I mean, if you try to do that shit now, I don't even want to. That's a whole other podcast. I don't want to get into it. Because I'm like, I'm going to piss off somebody real fast right now. But yeah. Well, like I said, I always appreciate some historical accuracy. At least it's not something like Braveheart, where it's like, yeah, that definitely didn't fucking happen. At least the way you're trying to sell this to me, that definitely didn't happen that way. And like I said, to a backdrop of the fact that it's a Western, I'm like, I mean, come on, that's always cool. I was thinking about that the other day. We've probably mentioned this before, and I kind of, maybe it's something to ponder on, like another, maybe just like a discussion later. But you think about like what kind of movies were in the eras, throughout even just the 20th century. Probably had like more dramas and stuff in the 40s, maybe in like war movies really in that time. A lot of fucking war movies. Then it was like Westerns for a good fucking period of time. And then you get into like the 70s, 80s, and it's probably it's slasher movies, slashers, horrors, Then you get to now, and then from probably like 2001 when like Spider-Man came out, I was like, now we're just in this superhero slump for the last 20 years. So I'm like, what do you do next? It's my thought experiment for the day, but I don't know where we go from here, because I'm like, we're going to shift to something else, and I'm kind of curious as to what it might be. So I was thinking, like, this movie, I'm like, oh, this is late 80s, and we're doing a Western. I'm like, that's kind of interesting. I mean, not saying you can't, but that was kind of my interesting thought going into it. Like, I wonder how this is going to play out. And again, when just 5 minutes into it, I'm like, wow, we're playing like 80s synth music, and I'm watching Estevez run around in a Western town. I'm like, I swear to God, if I see a DeLorean back there in that fucking bar, and I'm going to be really mad.
Shared universe, baby. Shared universe.
Yeah, it could be. I don't know.
Did you see the new trailer for the new Back to the Future movie? I'm torn. I think it's going to be shit, but I think I'm going to have to watch it.
I hope. Hey,
you're a long fake trailer, right?
I was like, you're a long way from April, Corey. You better be fucking with me, because I don't think that's real.
No, it's real. Back to the Future 4 trailer. It's out.
No.
So it's not a remake. I'm like, dude,
No, it's a fourth movie. They have Doc Brown, they Marty. It's real.
Well, he parked that damn train up that car's ass. I don't think we're doing it again. Like, I know the train. Everyone's gonna be like, but the train time travels. I'm like, shut up. I don't care. I don't care if it time travels. Well, I was joking that they finally, a few days ago, maybe last week, revealed the new DeLorean, and it looks slick as shit. I think it's really cool. I was like, remake the movie with this car, and it hurts to say it, but I'm like, oh yeah, he'd be going back to like 1994. I'm like, shit. I was like, I'm just gonna. However, I'm like, just do it. It'd be fun.
That time Jeremy feels old.
Yeah.
Welcome to the club, Jeremy.
Yeah, I was born in 92. I'm over that hump already. So no, yeah, no, it'd be cool. Hold on. Talk amongst yourselves. I gotta look this up now. No, I would have saw that. Trust me.
No, it's real. I'm not fucking with you. I watched it twice.
I'm sure there's a trailer that you saw. I'm 100% sure that it's fake.
It's real.
I mean, I've seen people make, some really convincing shit. Like, even for like video games, for fucking, no, I don't want I should have put 4. I just put Back to the Future. Like 1985? No way.
It was on IGN.
Is it the one to go back to the 60s?
It's the first trailer with Tom Holland. He's in it.
No. It's
that would have been all over the news.
That's what I'm saying. I would have known. Trust me.
That's not news I would have missed. I would have done a whole video on that.
No,
as
it's
someone
real.
who as someone who does want a DeLorean, like unironically in real life, I would have noticed. Trust me.
The new DeLorean or
new? Well, yeah, I would gladly take a new one. I mean, I'm not gonna say no, but no, I'd love to have one of the old ones. But only because I want to make it look like the one from Ready Player One, not necessarily Back to the Future, even though that's like 90% Back to the Future car. But the only difference is the Ghostbusters logo on the door, and then it's the Knight Rider lights in the grill, and then it's actually supposed to be the Knight Rider steering wheel, but otherwise it's literally
it's fake. Damn, I fell for it.
Well, the one that's messing with me is Screen Culture, which I'm like, that's not like, I mean, because some fucker named,
I thought it was an IGN. I was wrong.
Someone named Slurp in all caps, someone named Smasher. I'm like, I don't believe you. I'm like, Screen Culture. I'm like, maybe that sounds real, but like, no.
Well, it looked not that great, so I'm glad it's fake.
Well, here's the thing. It's on IMDb. It says the Future 4 possibility addressed by Doc Brown actor. I'm like, yeah, you could say, yeah, sure, maybe. It doesn't mean, I don't know.
We're in the age of AI. There's so much fake shit. Yeah, I was just looking at his filmography, and there's
we're gonna yeah, we're not gonna do the face peel anymore. It's just gonna be he's gonna have a stupid AI thing to make him look younger.
I do want to see that new Beekeeper movie with Jason Statham so fucking bad.
That does look kind of good though. But
see r/movies on Reddit, because Reddit is a bastion of truth. Back to the Future Part 4. Why not? I'm like, yeah, that sums that up for me. Like, yeah, why not?
Yeah, sure, why not? But yeah, let's get back on it now. Cora, I'll go to you. I mean, what did you? I mean, I don't know how familiar you are with the history of the Old West, but I mean, after hearing what I've talked about already with the comparison of the actual historical events to how they were depicted in this movie, how important do you think that is for a movie like this, especially when it comes to depicting real people?
No, I don't think so. I don't think it's as real, at least back in the 80s. Nowadays, I think people are more nitpicky if they're trying to be historically accurate. I think I think they did a good job. I mean, there's some details that didn't matter, like the fact that, what's his name? Hold on. Chavez, he never went to California. He stayed in New Mexico for the rest of his life. He never became a fruit farmer. Things like that don't matter, but I think it was just like you said at the beginning of the show. I mean, it's better than some of the other portrayals of this part of history in the West, and they did a good job with what I think they had. I just think the writing just didn't translate into the quality of the plot, but that doesn't take away from the historical value. But
yeah, we're going to be talking. We've got Tombstone on the schedule to do, not in the immediate future, but it's on the schedule to do. I don't want to compare these movies too much, and I don't think they compare. I think while Tombstone is a funner movie, this one I think is a better movie. But historically accurate, you can tell us a historical accurate story and still make it exciting and fun, and I think this movie's proof of that. Now, yeah, there were some things that were a bit tweaked around. The character that Terence Stamp plays was actually slightly younger than the character that Charlie Sheen played in real life. Things like that. So, I mean,
the bad guy wasn't really Murphy. Murphy was actually dying of cancer, and it was his number 2 guy, Dobby or Davy or something.
Yeah, you can play.
It was a bad guy. The story.
Yeah, you can play around with some of the details to make it more movie friendly. That doesn't really bother me too much.
Yeah,
but it's like, and we'll go into it more when we talk about Tombstone here coming up later on, down the line. When you go out of your way to tell a story that is not accurate but set against, but I really hate it when they started putting these labels in front of movies like based on a true story. Telling it the way they word it's like you think this all actually happened, when reality is you just took this real thing that happened and you twist all the facts around to make it a cooler movie. That doesn't really do anything to tell the story. So you may as well just say it's a movie. It's not based on anything that happened. It's just a movie. And you could say, like in the DVD commentary or some shit like that, you can say, yeah, we kind of loosely based this on this particular event, but we changed a bunch of stuff around making a cool movie. That's at least honest.
You can say like inspired by the events of or something.
Yeah, but even then, it's like even when you see something like that in front of a movie, you anticipate. My understanding would be anyway. My hope would be that it is at least 60% accurate. That you didn't change too much shit around to alter the core of what this event was. And Tombstone kind of does that. This movie probably, with the exception of altering a few ages and maybe kind of like some chronological stuff, how it happened in real time over the course of that, 20 or 30 years of the Old West. It, if you're changing a little bit around and making a better movie, that's one thing. But I'm just glad that historians have looked at this and said that's actually pretty close to what we know, what's confirmed, because I think it's funner that way. I think it's funner to actually, because how often does anybody really, I mean, even the people that are really steeped in like Old West lore and history and stuff, how often do they really get to like dig into the real facts? There's so much that's not known, So
especially as far back as this.
So I would want to go into a movie and at least try a picture of what it was like to be in that world at that time, and not just be fed this line of bullshit and expected to believe that Doc Holliday had to shoot out and was like, I'm your Huckleberry, and then make it all a big thing. Which is kind of what they did with Young Guns too, which is unfortunate because while that movie was very loosely based on some real shit, they made that movie much more of an action movie rather than it was a sequel to this movie, sure, but it wasn't really a good sequel. They definitely went for the action in that stuff. But I don't know. Let's get into a little bit of trivia now. Let's see. I'm clicking on the wrong shit. There we go. Did you know that at night the actors would actually get together and play music and sing when they were drunk? They would also make Lou Diamond Phillips sing La Bamba, as he had just played Richie Valens in the film La Bamba a year before in 1987. One of the best music biopics ever made, by the way. I would imagine. I swear to God, I've heard interviews with Lou Diamond Phillips over the years where he says that's one of his favorite things that he's done. But I swear to God, there had to have been a period like in the late 80s, early 90s where he was just like, I don't ever want to hear the words La Bamba ever again. Yeah. Because fans are stupid. Most of us are. I bet you anytime he got noticed out in LA or something, they were like, hey, La Bamba. Not like, hey, you're a good actor. Like, hey, that movie title that I remember you from. I kind of get it. But that probably would have drove me nuts.
There it is.
Let's see.
I'm sorry. I was looking for a picture. I'm like, there's a picture of me. Probably like, 30 pounds lighter, but there's me and old Billy Boy.
Yeah, that picture of him is the only one that is confirmed to be of him.
Yeah. And I don't know if that's like it's fake. I don't know if that's height accurate, but I'm like, man, he's like the same height as me, which I don't know if I'm like short or I don't know.
Well, you've already outlived him. He was only 20 or 21 when he supposedly died.
Yeah, that's fair. That's very true.
We weren't there. We don't know. But let's see. When the men are going through the Indian village, Doc is in the front of the group with a cover on his face. That actually was not Kiefer Sutherland. It was a stand-in. Kiefer Sutherland had to leave the set that morning due to the birth of his child.
Oh, well, there you go. That's wild.
That's not the first time it's happened in movies. You know how many times that...
Well, I thought it kind of
made sense. You look at somebody from the back and it's just a stand-in, that kind of thing.
Well, that made sense. Like, he was trying to just, like, not be seen. He's going right back into, balls deep back into town to go get the girl. I'm like, yeah, you probably don't want to show your face, man. So, I mean, I wouldn't have done that.
You know what? You talked about how Emilio Estevez looked like he was having a lot of fun making this movie. He actually was not. Emilio Estevez was very depressed through this entire shoot because he had recently broken up with his girlfriend. So one night, Lou Diamond Phillips decided to play a prank on him, and in an effort to cheer him up, Phillips had the wardrobe department put makeup on a sheep, dress it up, and put it in Emilio's room.
Oh, for fuck's sake!
That's kind of awesome.
What did Terence Stamp say? Hey, man, boys will be boys.
Man,
just
you know what though? That sounds like an awesome movie
guys
to be on though.
Yeah.
I mean,
she said, man, and I'm hearing the song in my fucking head because of Charlie Sheen. I'm like, man.
Winning.
Tiger's
blood, baby. Tiger's blood. Let's see.
Poor Charlie.
When Colonel Nathan Dudley arrives at the siege of the McSween house with a detachment of cavalry troops, let's see. The troopers are correctly portrayed by African Americans. The U.S. Army was segregated at the time, and New Mexico was policed by the 9th U.S. Cavalry, a unit composed of black soldiers under the command of white commissioned officers and black non-commissioned officers. So another point to the historical accuracy of this film, which is fantastic.
Yeah, I noticed that. I was wrapped up in like that. I was wrapped up in that scene. I'm like, oh shit, this is gonna get tense right here, real quick. That's actually kind of cool. Yeah, just because the Civil War ended, it's like, yeah. What was I just watching? They were like, yeah. So after that happened, like everything was cool, right? I'm like, no, maybe not for another 100 years still. So no.
Well, I mean, at the time, remember law enforcement, while they had like local sheriffs and stuff like that, there wasn't like a police force.
No, that was about it.
So while the sheriff would handle shit goings on in the town and its surrounding area, real law enforcement was handled by the military. There was no police force the way we know it today at that time.
Yeah, that is your force. You have this whole army at your disposal. I mean, you might as well just use them, you know.
And a lot of times, if there was problems bigger than local sheriffs could handle, they would actually call the governor and say, can you send a detachment of soldiers down here to help me get this shit under control? And they would essentially have martial law without declaring martial law. You know what I mean?
Well, I was going to say, wouldn't they also maybe try to call like a U.S. Marshal or somebody, like someone that can, you know, handle it better than like a local sheriff would? That's what's so that's what's so wild to me. Like some of these movies, like again, I was thinking about even with Public Enemies, I'm like, there's still no like federal force to stop these guys. I mean, once you mosey on out of town, that's it. Bye. Like we can't do anything about it. He's gone. You know what I mean? So
well, even in Public Enemies at that time in U.S. history, police forces were still pretty bad. A lot of them were just kind of like they were just power hungry assholes. Just wanted to like run roughshod over the townspeople. Even then, I mean, and that was the 30s and 40s. It wasn't until really the 70s and 80s they kind of got that shit, started to get that shit under control to an extent, as much as you can, I guess.
Hoover was really trying for a long goddamn time, and not towards the end of his life is when it finally fucking happened. Like, man, yeah, it's still very Wild West, which is kind of interesting. You're 4
in
years
many ways that mentality, yeah,
like you're still 4 years into a Great Depression, but man, you're still very Wild West. You can just do some shit in town and just just peace out, bye, see you later.
Furthermore, Charlie Sheen was actually reportedly a terrible horse rider. He couldn't keep his balance on the horse and fell off several times. His horse took off after the shootout with Henry Hill, and he had no clue how to make it stop.
Oh, no.
I can imagine Charlie Sheen like, stop, damn you, stop!
Oh God, no!
That was pre-Tiger's Blood, though. So maybe if he'd have done it, started drinking Tiger's Blood earlier,
you'd be like, "You don't understand, horse. I got the tiger blood in me, damn it." Yeah,
let's see. You mentioned Tom Cruise earlier.
Yeah,
let's see. You remember? I don't know if you knew this or not. Tom Cruise was actually one of the shootouts in which the character was killed. At the very end, the actor was on set accidentally and asked to be in the film because he had never taken part in a Western movie and was really excited to try it. So they just put him in uniform and made him one of the. It's a blink and you miss it scene. I have to go back and rewatch it.
Now I'm gonna look at it
because I did not catch the scene when it first happened, but apparently, I think it's right as Billy comes out of the
he comes out of the crate.
There's
like a great shot. I love that.
That was a really cool moment, by the way. It was almost a nuke the fridge moment for me, but I was just like,
I didn't even care.
Go ahead. I'm gonna run this scene. I saw his
I saw his goofy ass pop out. I'm like, nah, that's back. I don't even fucking care. This is some badass shit. I'm here for it.
But yeah, apparently it was a really cool. They had him done up to where he wasn't easily recognizable. They put like a fake mustache on him and dirtied his face up a lot. But apparently there's like this one really quick cut scene where it's like you see him just kind of coming back and getting shot, and then it cuts back to the rest of the action. So I'll have to go back and try to watch it in slow motion or something like that because I couldn't see it. But yeah, Tom Cruise is actually in the movie.
You can't sit here and tell me I want to look up Tom Cruise Young Guns. It says Tom Cruise and John Bon Jovi both in Young Guns. I'm like, now where the hell was he at? Was he just
Bon Jovi was in Young Guns too?
Okay, because I'm like, no, he was not. You can't lie to me.
Bon Jovi had a small cameo in Young Guns 2. He was like in a shootout and was shot and killed or something like that. It wasn't a big part, but he was in the second one. He wasn't in the first one.
No, I think you're right, Frank. I kind of wondered why we lingered on this one guy getting shot, like almost comedically. I see which character he was. They did put like a mustache on him and some like obnoxious sideburns. It was in like the slow motion. Like I don't remember who shot him, but like they went to shoot this guy and he just rolled kind of goofy, went like like that, and just kind of fell backward. That was him.
Was it? I'll have to go back and watch that scene again to see if I can get it.
I see it now. It's kind of hard. Yeah, he's got his hat pulled down to like fucking here. I can kind of see it. He looks like friggin' Matt Damon, but like, no, that is Matt Damon. Get the hell out of here. Yeah, that's. I'm like, where
this was pre-Matt Damon. This was way before Matt Damon's time.
Oh, I know. That's why I'm like, no, you're lying to me. That's fucking Matt Damon. Okay, yeah, that's wild. Okay,
but Tom Cruise wasn't the only one that was fighting along with the bad guys. Did you know that Emilio Estevez, on a day where he wasn't scheduled to be on set shooting, actually dressed as one of the bad guys and fought alongside them in the shootout?
Oh, cool.
Here's the thing. I feel like, come on.
He's like on both sides in different scenes, different shooting, different scenes. That's funny.
That's one of those funny movies. They didn't have some fun. They're just dicking around. I love it.
Well, that must have been a fun movie to be around with that group of guys when they were in their like early mid-20s.
Yeah.
God, if I could go back in time and just be on a movie set just for like a couple of days, I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Let's see. Patrick Wayne actually plays Pat Garrett in this movie. His father was legendary actor John Wayne, starred in Chisholm in 1970, another movie about the Lincoln County War that featured Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid. And then, of course, in the second movie, Pat Garrett played by William Peterson for reasons I don't understand.
Yeah, well. You're telling me the sequel wasn't a good movie?
I mean, it was a fun action movie. It wasn't good for much else. I don't think it was a great sequel to the first one. It was a fun action movie.
Yeah, I mean, there was an American
soundtrack by Bon Jovi.
That's why then. Okay. Well, there's an American Psycho too, but that doesn't mean it's good or has anything to do with anything. You mentioned Patrick Bateman, like just kind of on a passing line, like, oh yeah, that connects it. Sure.
Sure, totally.
Yeah, it's like it's like people think, hey, look, there's snow in a movie. That means Christmas exists. That means it's a Christmas movie. Like, fucking stop. It's a reach.
Anything with snow in is a Christmas movie. We established this already. We were talking about it on the New Year's show. That's not true.
She finally watched Goblet of Fire, and there's like, oh yeah, there's the Christmas Eve dance during the movie. I'm like, stop. It's not a Christmas movie. Stop.
The Enchantment of the Sea dance, or the whatever the hell they call that ball. The winter ball. I don't know. I forget.
No, that's Back to the Future. I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know. I'm just being stupid.
Dude, I don't. They have winter break during school. That means it's a Christmas movie. I'm so tired.
They have winter break every year. They just don't emphasize it. But let's see. Moving on now. In 2016, at a meet and greet interview with Diamond Phillips, he revealed that, and this is some of the great casting that could have happened. He revealed that Sean Penn was originally offered the role of Billy, and that Patrick Swayze was offered the role of Dick Brewer, the role that would be played by Charlie Sheen. Due to legal troubles at the time, Penn wasn't able to accept the role, and Swayze wasn't interested in doing an ensemble movie, as he had done several movies with the Brat Pack, and he was trying to get away from that.
I was gonna say you were definitely again The Outsiders, fucking Red Dawn. Yeah, no, maybe don't do that.
Well, it was
Roadhouse.
The year before this. Dirty Dancing came out in 87.
87, yeah.
86 or 87.
Yeah, something like that.
I mean, so his star, because he really shot up after Dirty Dancing.
Yeah.
And it was 88 or 89 that he did a movie called Next of Kin with Liam Neeson and Bill Paxton, which is a great movie. Fantastic movie. So he was already a pretty big star. I'm not surprised that he got a little choosy when it came to what he wanted to play.
I could definitely have seen Sean Penn doing this role. He's got that manic, like I could see him portraying it in a similar light. That would have been pretty wild.
I don't know. I think I like Emilio Estevez better. Even having seen what Sean Penn could have done with it. Sean Penn's got a different presence to him.
Yeah. I guess
I'm not saying he doesn't have great range. I mean, we're talking about everything from Spicoli to Harvey Milk. I mean, the guy's been good in a lot of stuff, but to play that kind of unhinged,
he seems more like imposing than like
Sean Penn is very serious.
That's what I'm saying. He seems like more imposing.
He seems like a very complex character no matter what role he's in. He doesn't do light and silly and comedic.
Because I would be more unassuming if I saw Emilio Estevez walk up to me like, "Oh yeah, Billy the Kid. I hardly know him." You know what I mean? And I'd be like,
"Yeah,
who the fuck are you?"
I think Sean Penn would have played a good Dick Brewer, the part that
that's fair.
Charlie Sheen played. I think Sean Penn at that stage in his career, still fairly early, but I mean he was well known, obviously, because he had done a couple of big things already. He had done At Close Range, which was a great movie. He had done Fast Times. He had done
Wall Street.
What was the one that he did with Willem Dafoe? One of Willem Dafoe's early films. I forget. But see, he had already pretty much made a name for himself. He was on the way. He was way on the like a lot of these guys. He was in his early mid-20s. He was on the way up. But I still think his screen presence is different than what Emilio Estevez's is, and Emilio Estevez fit the role a lot better in my eyes. That's just my take. Maybe if you could go back in time and change it, I would be proven wrong. But I mean, the reality is, I like the one we got. Okay. But in Cora's favorite scene, in the bathtub scene, that bathtub had to be dug by hand in the middle of New Mexico.
Not my favorite.
Because it was winter, they had to pour buckets of hot water into it between takes to keep the actors from freezing.
Why is it in movies they film stuff in the wrong seasons?
Well, scheduling is not always gonna, it's not always gonna happen the way you want it.
Couldn't they work that in? I don't know. They could have done that in a soundstage. I don't know.
Well, yeah.
Couldn't they put a hot tub in the ground and then put dirt around it?
Could have put like a little, put some sort of heater or some shit in there to maybe warm it up, but I don't know.
I don't know. I don't get it.
You also got to remember, filming in winter in New Mexico is probably easier than filming in summer in New Mexico when it's 120 degrees.
Well, you got
I mean, some people. I mean, it's probably easier for them. Yeah, I mean, depending on where. I mean, I don't know. Not ever having spent a great deal of time in New Mexico. I've been through there once or twice, but
been there in the fall.
I mean, I would still imagine that a 30-degree day is easier to film in than it would be for a 120-degree day.
Yeah.
Whatever. But I mean, you also got to remember, in the 80s, they were still doing a lot of stuff practically.
Yeah.
Because these days, this is probably the kind of thing they would have done like a close set, especially if, one of them was actually naked, which I'm sure they're probably not in the scene. But I'm sure today they probably would have done it on a soundstage or done it in pickups or whatever. But, whatever. Let's see. Also, there was another celebrity cameo from a very well-known country singer in this movie. I don't have a picture of it because apparently you didn't get a good look at his face anyway. But the Gatling gun operator that kills Terry O'Quinlan's character was actually played by Randy Travis, the country singer.
No.
Awesome.
I remember the scene vividly. Again, I just watched this movie yesterday. I don't remember ever getting a look at his face. I remember the guy cranking the Gatling gun.
I want the barrel going, yeah.
And you don't really get a look at the face of the guy doing it. So, I mean, it could have been anybody they pulled off the street. But the fact that it was Randy Travis. Yeah, the fact that it was Randy Travis was I thought was pretty funny.
That's great.
That's fantastic.
But yeah, that's all I have for the trivia. But let's start to wrap things up now. Again, a little bit shorter show because we don't have Tex here to do his breakdown of one of the great westerns, our one Southern connection, and we don't have him here. That's unfortunate. But
he's closer to this movie than any of us.
Yeah. He'll be back on what, Thursday or not Tuesday?
And is he bringing hell with him?
And he's bringing hell with him.
You hear me? Hell's coming with me.
Well, I'm sure he'll be around for that one when we do it here in a couple of months. That's on the
too early for Tombstone. I'm not there yet.
Man. I'm your Huckleberry. When that comes around, I'll be your Huckleberry. But let's start to wrap this up. Lady Cora, give me some of your final thoughts on Young Guns.
Historically more accurate than other Western, like you said, but it was too. I don't know. It just didn't. It was like 75% there. it didn't do it for me, but I appreciate their effort. It's like going to a restaurant and ordering this epic meal that you think is going to be amazing, and then you get it there and it's like, it's still better than home cooking, but it's not what you expected. So subpar,
I cook
but
way better stuff
good.
than most restaurants.
Well, you know what I mean, like some weird complicated dish or something that I don't know, but I'm glad I've watched it because I've never seen it, but I probably won't watch it again. So,
you should try Young Guns too.
I don't know that I should. We'll see.
It's not a bad movie. It's not great, but it's not bad. That's the one where Billy.
Oh.
Ooh, excuse me.
Did we lose Frank?
Uh-oh.
Or is it just me?
No, he froze up for me.
Okay. Well, basically, I hear what you mean, Frank. But maybe I'll watch the sequel when I'm cooking and have it in the background. So, if I hate it, it's not like complete.
Hold on. Is Frank back? He's moving. You're muted. There you are. Hello.
Sorry, my computer was weird for a minute. It was just like
there we go.
Computer was doing something weird for a second. It was like I just don't want to work for like 30 seconds.
Well, see, that's the thing. We didn't lose text. We lost Frank for a minute. We got to have one per show.
Yeah, one person has to glitch out. I guess it was me today. But yeah. But I don't know. Jeremy, what are your final thoughts on Young Guns?
For having not seen it until it was time to watch it for this review. Honestly, I had a lot of fun. I thought it was really. I don't mind watching just some over the top action scenes and obviously just over the top Emilio Estevez. Because it's funny watching Charlie Sheen be level headed and his brother being the fucking tiger's blood crazy one. So maybe there's something there. I don't know. There's a joke there somewhere. No, it was a lot of fun, and I do enjoy westerns. Whatever era they were made in, even some of the newer ones. So, like Open Range is still one of my favorite movies. I don't know if I ever reviewed it, but that's one of my favorites, like hands down. That I would say this. I was pleasantly surprised that I'm like, you know what? I would actually watch this one again. It was actually a lot of fun. So that's, I guess, my praise for it. That I'm like, yeah, no, I'd watch it again if if it came on or if I came across it. And I was like, yeah, fuck it.
Yeah, this movie is it's on a lot of people's lists of favorite westerns, favorite films from the genre. Maybe not everybody's, and I get it. It is a bit too actiony at times. Dialogue gets a little squiffy every now and again. They played with a few historical facts that I don't think really did anything to accentuate the story, like the age of some of the characters and kind of where they all ended up. But yeah, ultimately, it's a good movie. It's wildly entertaining. It's a good Western. It's a solid Western. Best ever? No, not even close. But
nah.
But I mean, you can't go wrong. Like I said, with the performances, these characters when their careers were just up and coming, and they were just really hitting the zenith of their careers, becoming the great actors that we would eventually, get from them. Even Charlie Sheen, who was, apparently snorting tiger's blood and eating Adonis DNA or something. But
oh my god,
he's just out here winning, man.
He's just out here winning.
Boy.
I'm pro winning. I'm addicted to winning. I'll have to send you the Charlie Sheen song. I'll have to find it on YouTube. I have it saved on YouTube somewhere. It's quite funny. Sure. But yeah, dude, it's a good quality Western. It was one of the last really good ones. I mean, every now and again they'll roll out, they'll try a Western, and for every one they try, they'll make 10 of them. Maybe 2 of them are good. I actually like
there aren't many 3:10 to Yumas, if you know what I mean.
3:10 to Yuma was good. The remake of the Magnificent Seven that came out recently with Denzel and Chris Pratt actually wasn't a bad movie. I liked it. But some of them, I mean, it's
True Grit was okay.
True Grit was okay. It's a genre that needs different storytellers. I think I don't know how. I don't have an answer as to what you can do to help boost that genre back up into prominence. But like I said, there's only so many times you can tell the story of the Shootout at the OK Corral where people are like, meh, let's just make it cartoony and crazy and make a movie like Tombstone to make it a better movie and not really be historically accurate. I would like to see something maybe way more of a period piece, less action and more drama. Something like a Lonesome Dove kind of thing, even as opposed to just putting a big name in it, a lot of gunfire. You know what I mean?
like when we did Unforgiven, we're like, no, this is actually probably more realistically what would happen if this was your story and your situation, your characters. Like, it's not just all right, hear me out. We're gonna put you in this trunk. We're gonna fucking throw you out there. You're gonna pop up and you're gonna shoot him. You know what I mean? I'm like, no, Unforgiven with Clint Eastwood seemed like a pretty more grounded, realistic take on like something that would happen to a character like that. You know what I mean? Like he has this, you know, this really torrid past of being just kind of a terrible, evil son of a bitch of a person who just kind of puts it behind him. And it's kind of got that John Wick thing where I'm like, yeah, but you can do all that shit, but it's not going to really just leave you. And you dip your, like what did Winston say? You dip so much as a pinky back in this pond. Like that's it. Like, you know, because then when it goes off and here comes Clint Eastwood pissed off with a shotgun and he's a couple shots in, like, no, you're that's it, buddy. So, that was I thought a pretty decent movie. Like it didn't need to have the action because I'm like, once it did go, it fucking went.
Texas, the Alamo with Dennis Quaid's a good Western. I think I saw it. Pretty sure I did. I can't remember.
I'll take it from the Texan himself. So yeah, that's fair.
I mean, he lives 15 minutes in the Alamo, for Christ's sake.
I was going to say that when
still
we're like, yeah, Texas isn't here. I'm like, he's going to be like, so have you ever heard about this place called the Alamo? I heard, I'm like, yeah, I called it. He's going to say it. He's obligated to mention it, but that's fair.
Tex also says that while filming this, Charlie Sheen visited Roswell, New Mexico, was abducted by aliens. That's where they gave him his first injection of tiger's blood.
Now it all makes sense. Okay, so now it all makes sense.
So,
see, maybe
if you got any good facts like that, if you got any good facts like that, put them out on Twitter. # Tex Facts.
Tex, of course, saw some aliens earlier, so man, he's about to be winning too.
I really thought it was an alien or something going on. And the thing is, whoever's operating the camera actually turned and zoomed in like they were looking at it too. And I was like, wait a second. That's not an alien. I feel so stupid, but it was entertaining.
Space station.
It was entertaining.
That's no moon. It's a space station.
Yeah.
But yeah, I forget where you can watch it. Actually, you can go see it on. I think it's on Prime.
Prime, yeah.
That's where I watched it.
It's on Prime. It's on Hulu, I believe, as well. You guys can go watch it then.
It was on Prime with Freeverse. I had to watch commercials, but
I had to watch. I had to watch it with ads. But...
Oh, first world problems there, Cora. First world problems.
I know.
I had to watch a commercial. Oh.
Yeah, I watched it. I watched it with that cool little button called
when you get a chance to go chase your dogs around. See,
I did. Yeah. I actually used it to do stuff with my dogs. Yep. Mm-hmm.
I just hit the mute button and just fucked off for about 2 minutes. I'm like, I don't care. I'm not watching it.
There were way too many ads for cat food. That's all I gotta say.
Well, no, I was gonna say like I had way too many ads for Spectrum. I'm not buying your shitty internet. Are you fucking listening to me? I'm not going back.
It was all cat food for me, and
no. Everyone for sure was at least one Spectrum ad.
Same thing with the cat food. Some kid holding up a bag of cat food. Just like, I don't have a cat. Why am I watching this?
Well, I mean, before we go, we have to get the thoughts of somebody real quick who managed to pop in right towards the end. Our man, the shit from Lone Star State, my man Tex. What's up, brother?
God damn it.
What's up, guys? Sorry for my poor attendance, but unfortunately,
there's no apology needed. Let's tell us what you think of this movie.
It's a fun. If you're looking for an accurate Western, it's definitely not that, but it's a fun watch. And it's got my boy Charlie Sheen, which is one of my personal. He's not like a. I don't want to be him, but certain parts of his personality I've tried to emulate as best as I possibly could. I haven't had tiger blood yet, but I'm working my way there. But it is what it is.
Well, the tiger's blood gave him HIV, so you might want to lay off the tiger's blood.
Right. Well, that's what. Well,
I don't know if it was.
I don't know if it was the tiger's blood or the hookers and porn stars. It was one of those two things, but we'll leave that up to science for them to decide. It's a fun watch. It's got, Emilio. It's got Emilio Estevez. How can you go wrong in the 80s with Emilio Estevez? You know what I'm saying? I mean, I thought about coming in here with a good old quack, but we're not doing Mighty Ducks, so it is what it is. But yeah, unfortunately, work kept me late, so you didn't get my, lovely, just self here. So you'll have to see me next week.
You missed getting to tease me about thinking I saw an alien on a live stream of a beach in Hawaii on YouTube.
I tease you plenty. I've got plenty like put in the bank for when I'm not here to make fun of you. So it's fine. No worries. So
I need to get that squirrel graphic back up here. You didn't need it for a while.
Have you seen the sequel to this text? This Young Guns 2? Was it?
I've seen Young Guns 2.
Was it good?
Yes, I've seen Young Guns 2 many years ago. But yes, aren't they making the third one as well, or did they already make the third one?
You know, I read something about that when I was looking into this. Apparently, fairly recently, in the last 5 years. Let me look this up again to make sure I have it right. Apparently, Emilio Estevez had said that there was something out there for a third one. And I'm kind of like...
The last I heard about it, he was going to direct it. Emilio Estevez was going to direct Young Guns 3 and now this has been some years ago. But that's the last I don't know how credible the rumor was. You know how Hollywood is. But that's what I had heard. But I don't know.
The hell is this? There's something here on IMDb. Right now. IMDb says Guns 3, alias Billy the Kid. Original title was Young Guns 3. I'm like, this is an actual thing on IMDb. So what is this?
Yeah,
I'm reading. In January of 2021, a sequel was teased by screenwriter John Fusco of this movie, who shared a mock poster for Young Guns 3, alias Billy the Kid. In March, Estevez told Collider people were interested in seeing him play the character again, and the third film is definitely in the works, quote. In September 2021, more information came out about the sequel, including that Lou Diamond Phillips and Christian Slater would return to the franchise. So
that's all I've got on this. That's all I've got on this IMDb page. It just says original is Young Guns 3, plots kept under wraps. The director's Emilio Estevez and the writer. And it's got Christian Slater, Lou Diamond Phillips, and Emilio Estevez. So not a whole lot. I guess it's just kind of like hey, I said this happened. So
right.
Trivia.
I got to be honest.
August 2023, it's in development.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. This is one of those movies I'm like, this movie's never going to happen. I mean,
it doesn't need to.
Well, I mean, it's not that it doesn't need to. I mean, maybe they make this film and it's awesome. But like I said, it's hard to sell a Western these days. And I don't know that this movie, the franchise in and of itself, and apparently it's got an estimated budget of $50 million.
Wow, that's a lot for a Western.
There's not a lot of call for the franchise. Nobody's clamoring for another Young Guns movie. Westerns are a hard sell these days. I mean, I just talked about it a little bit ago. They had to really fight to get a decent enough budget, because even in 1988, the Western was falling out of favor with people. So they didn't want to. So a lot of these guys took less pay to keep this movie under budget so it would get made.
Look at Yellowstone, one of the biggest shows on television right now. I mean, how many spin-offs of that have they had? And I'm sure there's more to come.
They did 2 prequels, and they're doing a third one with Matthew McConaughey. That's
what I mean. And now, to be fair, this is set modern day. It's not an old school Western, but it's a modern day of the Western variety. And that's one of the biggest shows on Paramount Plus and everything else.
It's also got soap opera. It's also got a soap opera quality to it. I've only seen bits and pieces of it here and there. I
bought all of them, but I haven't watched it.
It's a good show.
I'm waiting for the new Matthew McConaughey one, and then I'm going to watch them in chronological order, not production order.
Was it 1883 that had Harrison Ford?
Yep.
In it?
And 1923 was some other people. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, all I know is the creator of Yellowstone and all of these brands is a very smart man, because he's a fan of the Dallas Cowboys. He's actually been in Jerry Jones's box during football games. So he's a good guy in my book. So
Tyler Sheridan was just on Joe Rogan's podcast. It's actually really interesting to hear.
Yeah, Sheridan there. That's who it is. Yeah. So
he had a lot of really cool things to say. He was a smart guy. But no. Tex, you've given us your final thoughts, so I may as well go ahead and get out of here now. Let's see. Thanks, everybody, for coming around. Thanks to Tex for popping right at the end, giving us some of his thoughts. Lady Cora, where can the folks at home find you on the internet?
I'm allergic to it this week. Nowhere else.
Just like every week.
And to my hetero life mate, Jeremy, where can the folks at home find you, my friend?
You can find me here, obviously, whenever we review stuff, which is usually Tuesdays, Thursdays. I think we're back. We're back, baby. Full swing. Or half swing. I don't know. We were here today.
Half swing mean?
Well, we did one show this week, not two. We all kind of just fell flat on Tuesday, so it's all good. And I'm also I keep saying this, but I was like, maybe that should be my so-called resolution. I always say I'm a terrible content creator, but I'm like, maybe I should actually do some shit and actually put something out there. And actually, someone that I do mention quite a bit, who I believe is down in the description as well, Brooding Gamer, he just started a new channel. I mean, I'm on some of his other stuff. I'm in his little worlds of Jurassic Park and things like that. But he just started this one he's doing now about Fortnite. So just kind of like predictions, stuff he wants.
No, Casey, you can't be on it.
No.
Really? Am I getting a bit shaggy up there, Nick? Do you think I need to clean up a little bit? Am I looking like a hippie over here? I know. I'm just, my apologies. He just started doing like Fortnite stuff, like stuff he wants to see, discussions, and he's gonna start doing gameplay. So I might have to maybe behave myself a little more when I'm not, on camera, as if I don't get a little unhinged on this show. But like, you behave yourself, never. I expect better than that.
Well, you're one of the respectable ones around here. I'm the one who has horrible ones all the time.
I guess. I mean, like, you guys have seen me play. I mean, with Frank, even like when we play Fortnite, it gets kind of real. So
that's good. You're having fun.
Yeah, that's one word for it. But yeah, so there's that. I pre-ordered the speaking. I guess it's kind of related to movie news, but I pre-ordered the game Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, because as some of us may or may not know, that was the last thing that Kevin Conroy voiced as Batman.
Yeah. I've heard some things.
I'm like, that's why I want to do it. I just want to hear the voice again. I don't really care if it's bad. I don't really care. It
kind of like a fun. Play it once kind of thing, not get lost in it.
I kind of want to do it maybe just for that's kind of my whole sell for it. Mm-hmm. I mean, I've probably played worse games that I've spent money on. That's like, hey, this movie has.
Oh, Jeremy, squirrel moment for you. I don't watch Walking Dead, but everybody gets one. I watched it. I get 20, but yeah, I take 20.
Yeah.
I watched the trailer for the new Walking Dead series with Rick. Fucking fantastic! I don't even want to watch the rest of Walking Dead. I want to see
too.
Oh, I saw that on Twitter and I had to share because I'm like, Rick's back. I'm back, buddy. I'm in.
Jeremy, I will review it with you.
I'm definitely down for that. I guess if that's something to throw in there too. That's related.
Because called Those Who Live or something.
The Ones Who Live.
The Ones Who Live. Yeah.
I was excited because I was just scrolling through like TikTok and it was Walking Dead's actual like verified thing, and it's one of those like you see like this comment, like, every comment like, show us a fucking trailer. Jesus, it's next month. Come on. And it just said like, okay, we hear you. And then it said like 1 p.m. like today. I was like, oh,
I watched it yesterday.
I watched it. No, it was supposed to be that day. They're like, oh yeah, 1 p.m. Eastern time, it's gonna be here. And I watched it. Like, I got home and realized, oh shit, that came out like 3 hours ago. I gotta watch that.
It looks good. It looks really good.
No, I'm like, we finally got. I'm like, God, thank you. We got some solid, actual scenes with Rick. We get some dialogue. We see his face. We see some more of Michonne.
Did you think they paid him a lot to come back, or did he want to come back and he was waiting for them to actually put him out there?
It's probably a combination of like, you gotta finish it out. You can't just quite end it how you ended. If you know. But I'm like, man, you can't. Give some closure to the story. I mean, the comic had finally ended, so I'm like, and that ending is definitely not happening. But in the way it happened, it's not going to happen. But it could still happen in other ways. But they still kind of played that in a different Walking Dead spinoff. But wibbly wobbly timey wimey fucking Doctor Who. But you also cut off my favorite character in that fucking show, and I'm still mad about it. Speaking of cowboys, because I mean he was a fucking gunslinger. How fucking badass is it? This dude's gunslinging zombies in the head, fucking left and right. How cool is that?
Mm-hmm. I liked the first couple seasons, and then I stopped watching after the Herschel prison stuff.
No. The prison is fucking peak Walking Dead. Oh my god.
It was just too depressing. People kept dying.
Who wants to tell her about, like, Game of Thrones? Who wants to tell her about the rest of Walking Dead? I mean, shit, man. Yeah.
My question for you is, maybe you don't have the answer right now, is can I watch this new one without watching all the seasons I missed?
Okay. If you at least see up into Rick's departure.
Yes.
Okay, so you probably really don't need to know. The only thing that maybe, I mean, you saw the.
I know Glenn got hit by the bat.
Yeah. No, I mean, like, you saw the trash lady,
That's
right?
Negan.
I don't know, but this
like the only thing that,
and I hope you want to review it.
No, I would definitely.
I just want to point out real quick. I think this is an Olympic record for the longest squirrel moment on the Harsh Truth. Thanks to Gordon.
Outro we've
I just
had.
want to point that out.
Look at
Wait. This might only make sense to Frank. This might only make sense to Frank, but this is perfect. Look what I'm doing. This is what's happening.
Oh, I don't care.
If you know what this is. No, I'm like, I don't even care. I'm like, God, it's Rick Grimes. I am pumped the fuck up. Like, God, I want it now. Like, I'm definitely down for that. I think you just really need to see up until Rick leaves the show, because really after that, I mean, there's plot points from the comic that plays out, and it plays out to the end, kind of where it left. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's
Foxtrot
things.
wants to join the reviews if we do it.
I was gonna say, if we really want to go there, we have about 11 fucking seasons worth of a show to review. But I would
welcome to Monday Night Walking Dead for the next 15 years. We're going to be reviewing it. It's going to be great.
All right, it's Walker Wednesday, motherfuckers. Here we go.
Oh, Walker Wednesday. There we go.
I like that.
Since we don't have football, we can have Walker Wednesdays on the Harsh Truth. And for the next 20 years, we can, break them down three at a time, by God.
You could do one episode per season.
We could do like a season review. That'd be a lot easier.
Then there's 11 episodes, and then get into the new show.
We could do a season review. That'd be a lot easier. I think you guys did that for Stranger Things, right? You did like season 4.
The LA version one.
Fear? No. That's what I'm saying. No.
Fear the Walking Dead's garbage. Stay away.
No,
it gets stupid.
It's not. Tex is mad because it takes place in Texas, and he's like, "Ew, it's in my state now." Hey,
no, I'm fine with that. The show was just garbage.
No.
Hey, do you really want to sit here and argue the Morgan plot point of timeline and The Walking Dead, how he's over here on this side of the country, then all of a sudden he's over here? Do you really want to go there? Because we can have a nerd fight. I'm willing to throw down. We can do that.
Man. He fucking just went across
a nerd fight.
He went across the
Yes, we can.
It's not hard to understand. Like, there is a time jump, and they do address it. They do eventually line the shows all back up in to the same time period. There is a Fear does take place a few years before where we were in The Walking Dead, but it eventually.
You know as well as I do that show sucks. You just don't want to admit it.
Well, maybe
I literally just said gunslinging zombies, nuclear zombies.
You could do one episode talking about Fear the Walking Dead, whatever it's fucking called, and then how it ties in, like just one episode.
Well, Fear's only got 5 seasons, so it's not super long.
I think so.
You could cover that in a couple hours.
Fear's got 5. The show with the kids, World Beyond had 2 seasons. That's one episode. You don't have to bother with that. The only reason why
I didn't even finish that.
The only thing you take away from that is that you see the trash lady again. You kind of get more of an idea of that military we keep seeing. And she hints towards this guy that she plucked out of somewhere, and it gave her some boost in this military. I'm like, who the fuck was that? It was Rick. I'm like, yeah, you don't have to say it, lady. I know who you're talking about.
If you guys are serious about doing a Walking Wednesday, you might want to save it.
Why?
keep a few round, keep a couple of mags fully jammed. Let's not mag dump
as they say. Now. As they say in the Old West, keep your powder dry. You know what I'm saying?
Rename this episode Young Guns and Squirrel Stupidity, but whatever.
No, I would definitely...
Anybody who's watched more than one episode of this show will understand.
Yeah. I'm definitely down for that. I think the only thing I didn't like about I liked Fear, but the thing I was like, the first 2 seasons were like, okay. And then, like I said, when
I watched the first few episodes when the family like, oh my god, and they get into a boat or something, and then I was like, yeah, this looks stupid.
The boat thing is, I will equate to the joke of like, it's the farm. Like, it is the farm. I know it's stupid, but like, just it had the same problem as Walking Dead. Once it hit season 3, I'm like, okay, here we go. Now we're hitting the fucking strides we need to be hitting. Like, now we got it. Like I said, it turned into a Western, it turned into a nuclear apocalypse. Like I said, if I explain this to somebody, could you ever, in your wildest imagination, see somebody take an irradiated walker and fucking catapult them as warfare? No. That shit's wild. We're catapulting irradiated walkers into people's buildings to kill them. That's insane. Who cares? It's fun. So, yeah, I don't know. I'd be down for that.
Sounds great.
And finally, after 20 minutes of that outro, our friends from down south, Central Lone Star State.
It was a Midwest goodbye, I'm telling you.
Where can they find you, my friend?
Well, unfortunately, the sickness that makes Cora allergic to the internet I have now caught. So thanks to Cora for infecting me with that disease. Because the only place you're going to find me is here, and work may or may not keep me for more episodes than I would like. But I promise to do my best to be here. So, yeah, Tuesdays and Thursdays here, and maybe a Walker Wednesday if we end up having to do this.
Big fucking mouth.
So we'll figure it out.
Again. My stupid puns.
But, yeah.
As for me, you can find me here going over whatever the hell I want to talk about, whenever I want to talk about it. We will be back here on Tuesday. The next couple episodes, I'm sure, are going to be very interesting to Jeremy as we dive into one of his favorite characters of all time. But before we get to that one, we're going to start with Superman from 1978. For probably about a decade and a half, was the best superhero movie ever made. And some people still think it is easily in the top 10. But we are definitely going to be getting to Superman on Tuesday. And then on Thursday, obviously, we'll be going to Batman from 1989, the Tim Burton film from 89.
Where does it get those wonderful toys?
Jeremy's frothing at the mouth for that one.
Is that the one hold on. Penguin or not?
No, we're going to be doing that one later on.
Which is the superior Keaton Batman movie.
Yeah, we'll be doing Batman Returns after that one, but it's on the schedule. You guys
ever dance with the devil in the pale moonlight? What? I don't know. I just say that to all my victims.
You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts. So many lines.
Are you
so many lines.
Wait, hold on. I got you, Tex.
Batman movies? Because I would love to do the...
You wouldn't hit a guy with glasses, would you?
I give up. I'll be fine.
No, we're gonna do Batman, and then we're gonna do Batman Returns. The Clooney and Kilmer abominations will not be discussed.
Thank you for sparing.
Yeah, those films don't exist.
What about the Christian Bale?
Oh, true.
That's Knight. Batman Begins, Dark Knight, and
those three.
Rises.
Dark Knight Rises.
Those would be good. The trilogy.
Well, because remember, The Dark Knight is in my top 5 period of all time favorite movies.
I actually like those movies.
Yeah. Hey, I'm just over here waiting until we get to Batman versus Superman for the best Batman movie ever made. But, that's just me. So, that's all I'm saying.
Man, did you bleed? You will.
You will. I love Batfleck. I don't care what Batfleck is Batman. I don't care what anybody says. It's all about Batman.
I ate my words.
What about Pattinson? I haven't seen that.
I humbly take my hat off to you, sir.
Pattinson's a bitch. That's what Pattinson is. Fuck Pattinson.
He was a different Batman.
It was the Detective Batman, which is what it was originally. Leave it alone.
Yes, we got the Detective Batman finally. Now, is he as good as Keaton? Absolutely not. But
this is the last squirrel moment for the show for me. So I'm gonna say, I don't think Brits should be Batman. I don't think Americans should be James Bond. Just putting it out there. Just a lot of no.
I don't think an American should be James Bond. I don't really give a shit who plays Batman, Bruce Wayne. As long as the actor's good and the story's good. Yeah. No, that's just my thoughts on it. But anyway, Go down in the comments. Let us know what you guys thought of Young Guns or what you thought of the last half hour of our random conversation. Thanks to all of you for coming to hang out with Dermot. My amazing co-host. Thanks for coming on. To Tex for popping on at the last minute just to give us some of his thoughts. Always good to have you around. We will be here at strength, I hope, on Tuesday to talk about Superman with Christopher Reeves, one of the best superhero movies of all time. We will see you guys on Tuesday. Till then, adios.
So wait, we're doing Superman Quest for Peace, right?
Yeah, we're doing. Yeah, right after we do Batman. Right after we do the Valkyrie with Batman. Right after we do.
Is there any nudity in Superman? I'm gonna need boobs in this movie.
No.
Is there any?
He did X-ray through her chest, but not the way we saw it.